And welcome everybody. We'll be back in a moment, giving everybody a moment to join. We'll be right back in about 1 minute. All right, and basically what we wanted to talk about, folks, is just how, I don't think we'll be able to live stream to YouTube because we'll be using the camera to appear on the panel, I imagine. But we will plug the, we'll plug the live stream that we're appearing on in the community posts. So hit us up there. I'm not sure if you'll be able to, participate or not. I don't know if you'll be able to see a chat or, what's going on in the panel discussion. So no idea what to expect from that. And I'll be the I don't think the earth is flat counterpoint guy. If you're wondering where this all came from, it came from a video just a little while ago. We can all blame the hidden underbelly for this. So shout out to the hidden underbelly. Should be a good time. We'll see if we're expected to come up with arguments as to why we believe the earth to be shaped as a croissant, or if we're going to be expected to come up with arguments placed on the panel. Not exactly sure how that'll work. And we'll hope for the best, and we'll blame the hidden underbelly. So if you don't know any history about this, it's a unexplained phenomenon channel, and we happen to get featured on there as a result of noticing some flaws in some SDL imagery. Part of the UV spectrum. It's associated with ionized iron. Anyway, we unfortunately debunked that one. There was no giant object. Sorry about that, hidden underbelly. We would have preferred to get your video a little more views than it got. So, cheers, and let me bring your comments up. If anybody has any comments, thanks for leaving a comment there, Kathleen. And you're quite welcome. We didn't really expect to be doing what we did. For those of you who know about the history of the channel, let's take a little stroll down memory lane when it comes to the channel. The first thing we started to make regular videos on was, wait for it, fake news alarmist weather reports. Yes. We got on there and talked real crazy about storms and people riding kayaks down their basement steps and things, and putting on hard hats and hiding in Faraday cages and all that sort of stuff. And we were actually kind of surprised that we were able to get to, must have been about 170 subscribers back then. And then came some other collaborations, and here we are today. And if you don't know what it's like making content on YouTube, it's interesting. And anyway, once again, shout out to the Hidden Underbelly. Check out his latest videos. Here's a clip from the latest one about if UFOs are trying to communicate with us. Just play normal. Let me pause this. Let me mute the sound here to not get any copyright strikes. We'll play some of his funky footage. What is up with that?
So guys, this is what I know about this footage.
Anyway, you'll have to check it out yourself on his channel. You can find it all at the Hidden Underbelly 2.0. So that's sort of our latest collabo there, and the gentleman whose name I will not reveal is quite good at debunking stuff, and so we'd like to see that. We just offer our sort of expertise. We haven't done any like real close breakdowns of resolutions of imagery or anything like that yet. We haven't really had to do that yet. But always some interesting videos over there. And so yeah, we'll be appearing on a flat earth panel discussion. That's sort of the plan. And let me put your comments on the screen here. Kathleen. Did you just get the channel recommended? Did it just show up because we were streaming live? What kind of videos do you normally watch? And this channel primarily makes space weather and meteorology videos, but we also talk about any subject under the sun, whether it's human health. In fact, check out our mission at smashamash.com/forum/mission. And you can read all about it. It's to do things like advance a unified theory of physics, to try to tie together the different branches of science, right? To talk about Earth weather and space effects, consult with media organizations, hence videos like this one. Demonstrate cutting-edge proof of concept solutions to problems. I think your best days lie ahead, and human technology is going to advance spectacularly. So don't be disappointed. Your best days likely lie ahead. So also to assist mankind with things like predictive phenomenon, to sort of look at the facts and go, oh, these make sense, and these don't seem like facts. Last but not least, to not be ossified in our beliefs. As if you're ossified in your beliefs, you may be doing dogma. Oh, there we go. You may be doing dogma instead of science. So you may be surprised to know that some things are getting weirder and weirder out there. As a lot of science is regularly getting rewritten anyway. So, of course, we're always refining different theories, different hypotheses. Different hypotheses are turning into theories and so on all the time, right? So, yeah, viewers, let us know what your favorite new piece of science is. One of the ones we've been looking at with Eugene is galactic filaments. Great story on that recently all over the internet. I can show you some of that real quick. Throw in a little bit of cosmology here. So a brand new story just recently coming out about this. And those radio images there represent a lot of emissions from electrons producing radio photons in these long stretched out filaments. Those are probably a few thousand light years in length. Maybe as much as 8,000 to 10,000 light years in length. And check out this new image. This is actually my desktop on my PC now. Pretty sweet. And that's the Milky Way galaxy right there, folks. That's the Milky Way galaxy in radio frequency. You can see this vast expanse of parallel filaments over here. A very curious structure there. And a very defined one here, of course. You can see that they are almost all nearly perpendicular to the galactic plane, which would be in this area, like in this orientation like this. Here, once again, you can see they're largely perpendicular to the galactic plane. So great, fantastic imagery there from the Meerkat telescope. So there's sort of the extreme close-up of the galactic core and a whole series of filaments. And if you've ever seen the background that we use, we regularly use this background because those stars that you see there are largely doing, I mean, you can't really see them because there's a huge plasma sphere in there. And the galactic core kind of looks like a star on its own right. But that's not a star at all. That is a whole series of stars. And there's a massive plasma output coming out of those stars. So there's the galaxy in radio. And here's a much more zoomed in simulation of what's going on in there. Needless to say, it's a very weird place. So Margaret O'Regan, I am not an electric universe. Certainly not electric universe. There are some features going on in cosmology at certain scales and within certain sorts of systems that represent some electrical behaviors, but overall, I'm not one of these guys who you'll hear saying, everything is connected, and all that sort of stuff. In a lot of places, you've got particles flying around, neutral particles flying around, ions flying around, entire stars flying around. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're connected. I mean, like, yeah, there's some very weak gravitational connections with things, but the way the spiral arms of the Milky Way galaxy interact with the sun, for example, are not, in my opinion, what you'd call an electric sort of interaction. It just doesn't seem to be the way things work. Now, back in the mid-90s in college astronomy, I realized there's a huge hole in cosmology. And that hole is the darkness of sunspots, the hole of heliophysics. As it's not, in my opinion, well understood. A lot of the theories are a little out there. And of course, the channel has talked many times about sort of more modern theories of what's going on with stars. But let's just leave it at they're getting weirder. Our astronomy professor in college agreed that stars are electronic, right? One of the issues with what's going on with stars is where do their available electrons come from? And once again, there are more theories. There are some theories that are more plausible than others. Anyway, once again, that's what's going on at the galactic core. There it is in radio frequency. And you can probably imagine why all those stars orbiting in all those crazy orbits, those stars I was just showing, those stars right there, those are all blue supergiants that are like the size of Mars's orbit. And they're all moving at essentially solar wind speeds and all kinds of crazy elliptical and extremely eccentric, some more circular orbits around Sagittarius A star, which is the little tiny blue spot you can see there, perhaps, at the center of the image. That's the massive radio source at the core of the Milky Way galaxy. Now, back in the mid-90s, I realized that some folks were calling, quote, black holes and, quote, massive radio sources back in the mid-90s. And it's because of physics arguments versus observational arguments, and observational arguments versus math arguments. And then, of course, general science arguments, too, because in science, what we do is we look at stuff. We look at stuff in nature, and then we say, how can that be? Can we recreate that in a laboratory? Or perhaps look at other phenomena that gives us other insight into how that can be a thing? Or do we have a theory as to how things work, and then we go and search for stuff that supports the theory through observation? Of course, those are two very different approaches, I would say. Keep in mind, folks, the imagery that I was showing right here is actually very, very zoomed in. It's keeping track of individual stars, individual massive stars in there. So what arguments do you have versus people who are in the flat Earth community? Do you consider the electric universe similar to the flat Earth community, but with respect to astrophysics? Anyway, I've looked into all of these theories. Thanks for stopping by Hidden Underbelly. Did you see me thanking you for your input to the channel? Yes, I am aware of plasma, Marguerite. I am aware of plasma and how it operates. It's just that in space, most stuff is plasma because there's a lot of radiation in space, and things have a lot of time to travel tens of thousands of light years between each other. So in other words, there isn't all that much neutral matter flying around in space. There's a lot of plasma. It only has to be about 25% ionized to be considered plasma in space. But yes, thank you everybody for leaving comments. Cheers. Victoria, congratulations that God gave you new Nikes. I find that wonderful. I'm hoping they were cycling shoes. See, the thing is, Marguerite, some of us don't believe that stars are electric because they don't. Most people who know anything about astronomy don't believe stars are electric, because if they were, they would be extremely unstable, and in all likelihood, you would be dead. So that this is like one of the first arguments that I prefer to have with electric universe people, because in order for the star to be electric, it would be relying on something for current in order to, for example, emit consistent light. If you look at the sun, it emits fairly consistent light. And the reason it does that is because of the intrinsic properties of the material that it's made from. This is why most astronomers and I will agree that the light from a star comes from its intrinsic properties. The argument that I'm having with mainstream astronomy is not that stars are electric. The argument is that the nature of the intrinsic properties of the material emitting the light are not what is standard knowledge in what we call the standard concordance model of stellar evolution. Right? So for a lot of reasons, observational reasons primarily, but also some experimental reasons, it may be that stars are made out of something a little different than gaseous plasma. I'll just leave it at that. If you've ever heard of single segment plasma, where the nucleons get stuck in a lattice structure, like a two-dimensional lattice structure, where it's all the nucleons are sort of bound together because of great pressure. This leaves the electrons free to flow around, and it explains those intrinsic properties we were just talking about and a lot of other stuff. What doesn't is the idea that a sun is a cathode or an anode. So the properties that we see of stars, in my opinion, don't get reconciled by these ideas that the sun is like a bolt of lightning, because it isn't like that. There appears to be condensed material down there, and that also explains why sunspots are dark, because they're very flat, and it's showing us a lattice structure, which is very flat with respect to the Earth, which is why a sunspot appears dark, because of the way flat metals emit light. So it's an indication that we're seeing a flat surface, which sounds very strange and sounds very blasphemous to Neil deGrasse Tyson. But it doesn't change the facts of the spectra that we see, of limb brightening, of the likelihood of flares being higher at the limbs than in the center of the star. All of these things point to the intrinsic properties of the material that the sun's made from. So that's sort of the argument between in other words, some people like Mr. Eugene Bagashov and I, we're not in the camp of we don't yell the word electric universe or plasma cosmology and think that that's going to make us coherent in any way, because these are huge generalizations about what, in other words, it's a non-nuanced. Every astronomer believes some of A and some of B, right? None of us are completely sold on this theory or that theory, because there are little holes in most of them that cause us to either go one way or the other. At least the rational and the rational ones who are willing to actually look at the details and figure out if we believe them or not, as opposed to be in a camp, because this is a problem that we run into big time, is being in a camp. So, and there is a paper in the process of being written right now about this. So, anyway, there's the star of the show, and we've got CMEs actually going on. Looks like a major flare actually happening. And it looks like we've got about 15 more minutes before we have to go to the panel discussion, at which point we'll have to shut this down, I think, because I'll need to be using the camera, and I don't want to try to like mess up the audio or something like that. So I'll just try to appear on the panel. I don't know if there's going to be a link. Hidden Underbelly, you could put a link in the chat if you like, but I'm going to put up a community post. Check it out. We've certainly got a significant little event going on there. Sunspot 2936 is at it again. I think that's an M-class flare. That's an M-class flare, I think, folks. Let's check the X-ray flux. Maybe not. Just a C-class flare? All right. If you say so. Looked a little bit bigger, but most likely a radio event associated with that. And just checking. No, I don't see any radio events. All right. We'll see. Certainly looks like some activity to me. Yowzers. That looks like a significant CME happening there, folks. I don't know what you think. Anyway, who's got any questions or answers for the Flat Earth panel? Let us know in the comments what you think we ought to say, because that's really what this live stream is about in the first place. We're talking about whether or not the Earth is flat. So, of course, one of the things that we'll have to put forth, perhaps, is that how come this object looks like it's a sphere? I mean, it looks pretty spherical to me, folks. Do you not see features rotating around like it's spherically shaped? Who looks through a telescope and sees Saturn, or sees the moon, or sees literally any other heavenly body through the telescope and goes, those objects all clearly look roughly spherical in shape, therefore the Earth must be flat? I don't know how this conclusion is arrived at. It seems nuts. So let's zoom in on this. It's just fantastic. And hey, congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Yes. They will say it's not real, so perhaps what this is a projection of a flat sun onto a spherical, like Photoshop macro that just automatically takes a flat image and makes it look like a spherical one, right? All right, so another one of the good ideas that I've heard is, hey, there's a space tourism industry now. Can't you people start a GoFundMe page and send somebody straight to space? I mean, I think you might, maybe they'll be accused of being brainwashed when they get back to Earth safely. But perhaps that's, what do you think, folks? Is that another argument? Get somebody a camera, get them a camera that everybody believes. Maybe verify that the windows aren't curved in the spacecraft. Or that, oh yeah, right, the windows are curved, never mind. Seriously, there's a real space tourism industry. Let's send a flat earther to space. I think that would be a great little campaign. Get a flat earther actually into space. What about the Himawari satellite? What do you think about that? The Himawari satellite? Or I've got another one. Check this out. I'm going to show you some great photoshopping. All right, so if you do a search for the if you go to the NASA GOES interactive weather satellite, you check out these dope images here, right? Here's the lower 48. I mean, this is going to require some effort, folks. I mean, look at the resolution of this. You got to have serious computing power. Looks like a day-night Terminator on a spherical object to me. I know it's all photoshopped, right? Man, that's a lot of cloud tops. Let's check out a close-up. This is going to be too close to see curvature. All right, anyway, we've got these more zoomed out images. This is my point. If you head down to the, check this one out. Really? I mean, the best theory is that all of that is flat data projected onto a spherical plane because reasons. Seems like a lot of effort for any of you who do graphics work or anything like that. All right, so again, congratulations on the Nikes from God. And I guess we'll have to end the live stream here pretty soon. Let's cut back to the sun. We'll have to end the live stream here in the next couple of minutes. Anything else you'd like us to talk about, let us know in the comments. And yeah, what else? I'm going to largely have the most basic observational questions, because if all of these things are projections, why is it that I can buy a telescope and look at the sun from the backyard and it's going to look like a sphere? It's a spherical projection, is the theory. Let's talk about my favorite flat Earth explanation. So my favorite flat Earth explanation, folks, and I love this one. Let's go. Yeah, there we go. Coming from the galactic core, my favorite flat Earth explanation is that the flat plane that is planet Earth, here it is. Here's the dome. It's like a snow globe, kind of, right? This is the dome. It's a clear dome that has projections that are holes or something. It's like a bird cage made out of a black opaque material, which is why space is fake or something. Anyway, get this. The whole thing, along with all the stars and planets and so on, it's all moving upward at an acceleration of 9.8 meters per second squared. And that is my favorite explanation of gravity under the flat Earth theory. I have to tell that every time I get the chance, because it is such a delight to think of, yes, the whole plane, it's all accelerating upward. And I guess we'll end it on that note. It should be interesting. Again, we'll put a link in the community posts about where this is going to appear. I believe is it going to be streamed live to a YouTube channel? Hidden Underbelly? Anyway, we'll find out and we'll let you know soon enough. And yeah, let's end this live stream here at the Smash News Network. Least busted name in news. Thanks everybody for tuning in, leaving comments, etc. Don't forget to press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Look for maybe a clip or something of the panel discussion. Thanks again, Hidden Underbelly, and the rest of you viewers out there. And may that solar wind be at your back.